Bangladesh 430. West Indies 75 for the loss of 2. We're back again to discuss the test match between Bangladesh and West Indies. Anything cricket, test match watch, test match number 1, day number 2. Welcome, Ayana Holder and Wayne Holder.
Hi.
Hi, Philip. I got a little more sleep this time around.
So, your impressions of day 2. Where are we now? Yesterday, some people suggested it was even. Today, 4:30 up against West Indies, 75 for 2. How do you say it, Ayana?
I didn't get what I asked for, to be honest. I asked for consistency. And I think that we dropped the ball in the field, literally dropped the ball in the field on day 2. And the young Mahidi Hassan Miraz went on to register maiden test done. I mean, well played to him, but I'm still a little disappointed in the way we went about things on day 2. We lacked that consistency, and having gotten the 6th wicket so early in the day, I thought that would have set the platform, but we let it slip away a little bit.
Wayne?
Well, if I may repeat, we dropped the ball initially, but I want to start by asking the panel a question. Did we miss the 5th bowler yesterday? If you recall, we really did not employ a 5th bowler with the 2nd new ball. The 2nd new ball was taken, and I believe Kyle Mears would have been playing as the all-rounder and the 5th bowler. Never bowled the ball with the with the 2nd ball, because it wasn't always new. But with that 2nd ball, never bowled the ball. And as I said, I was going to start by asking the panel a question. Did we miss the 5th bowler?
Well, to be honest, Wayne, there's a case for, you can put a case, let's say, in terms of the use of the bowlers or the rotation of the bowlers. Some people would have suggested maybe that Nkrumah Bonner may have bowled before. I actually thought that having not bowled before, it was kind of risky to bowl him at the point when he was bowled. It didn't work out, I suppose, horribly. But as a leg spinner coming on at that point, and not a practicing leg spinner, I thought that was an unnecessary gamble. Glad he got his first wicket, because that should do his comments a lot of good. So you could debate the use of the bowlers. But if you're already looking at the position that the West Indies is now in, I think the fact that Bangladesh are able to get away and establish a strong position, credit obviously must go to the Bangladeshis, because they did what they had to do, what they needed to do. But our problem is very simple. The chances were created, but they were not taken. And yes, you can debate all the other things around that, but the reality is that if you don't take the opportunities, then you could find yourself in the situation that we're now in. I don't want to point a finger at any one person, because there were a number of chances and half chances, but I was really disappointed with what I saw of Shane Mosley at forward short leg. Yes, it's his first game, and I would more be inclined to excuse any issues with your batting or your bowling in your first game. But I think that your fielding really and truly should be up to scratch.
Well, it has happened repeatedly. This is something that has transpired repeatedly with the West Indies team, where we seem to get ourselves into very good positions in a number of test matches. And just when you think that there it goes, we have it, we then slip into this morass that and allows it to slip away from us. I mean, I'm going to go back again. Let's remember the name Henry Nicholls. You remember New Zealand and him punishing us for repeatedly dropping him? Like, right, exactly. The exact same thing happened again yesterday. It's just that Mahdi Hassan was not dropped repeatedly, but he was crucially dropped once, and he really rubbed the salt into our wounds and made us pay with a century.
Well, he actually gave a chance. Some may want to call it a half chance, a sharp chance, but he should have been caught by Cornwall at slip as well. Then he was in his
That was when he was 85. I'm talking about a ball that
early on, then it would have made a
at
difference. Then it would have
24.
made a difference.
At 24.
Yes, then it would have made a big
Yes.
difference.
In that first.
Because even if Cornwall had taken that catch at that stage, we would still have been looking at a score.
Yeah, by then,
by
then the horse had bolted. But at least he would not have made the 100, and the horse had already bolted by then. But what I'm saying it is that it is something that repeatedly happens with the West Indies. This is not a one-off situation. We have been able to see this so many times. Ayana.
I don't want to seem overly critical, but when it comes to things such as catching, I think that that's one of the basic things in cricket. And it upsets me that we can't even tick all the boxes in that area session by session. It makes me wonder if the guys are in a daze, if they're tired, if the day is too long. Those are the questions that I'm starting to ask myself, because I think it's such a basic thing to do by just catching, and the catches and some of the chances that went down were really very simple.
Straightforward. But but then again, we also have as a matter of concentration. West Indies did very well in the first session once again yesterday. We were able to get rid of the two overnight batsmen, including the very, very dangerous Shakib Al Hassan. So that was one box that was ticked. We got rid of the two overnight batsmen, and we did well at lunch. The position was game still relatively even. It all got away once we got into that second session, and the West Indies game, it didn't exactly go to pieces immediately. But for some reason or another, we were not able then to drive home. You know, we were not able to drive home that position where we had gotten into the lower order, and then it all went to a mess. It slipped. We ran out of ideas, and basically we were coming on to the end of the innings. We were just hanging around waiting for things to happen.
Should we ask what are they having for refreshments? Do you think that that might be it?
Well, they went to lunch. They went to lunch, and that was, and even then, you know, we went to lunch. We remember Jamel Warrican had bowled the entire first session. He bowled the first over of yesterday's play, well, the second day's play, and he bowled the entire session, and he bowled well. He should have had that fifth wicket that we talk about, that drop catch would have given in his 5-wicket haul. All of that was true. Having gone to lunch, I guess, gave the opportunity for the entire management group to come together and assess the situation and make a plan going forward. We came back out after lunch, and obviously the plan was we were going to be going with Warrican at one end, Warrican continuing that marathon spell, and Cornwall as a combination. So that plan was definitely would have been devised during the lunch break. After that, what went wrong? We saw Gabriel brought back for a second spell. We saw a partnership. Well, a number of little partnerships began to be built by the Bangladeshis, but eventually I said Gabriel got a wicket and got rid of the Ataidul Islam. But then something mysterious happened, because having bowled 4 overs in the first session, we never saw Kimar Roach again. And that is a bit concerning. What went wrong there? I mean, that was my question. But like I said, the plan seems to go a bit all right after the resistance from the Bangladeshis in the second session.
When unless there's some injury or something to Timar to Roach that we are not aware of, I am wondering if that the fact that he didn't come back is all part of this belief that there's nothing in it for the Pacers. And if so, that is unfortunate. I mean, even if you look at Bangladesh, we talk about Bangladesh playing only one fast bowler and 4 spinners. isn't it ironic that the fast bowler has both wickets so far? I mean, in fact, the fast bowler made that early breakthrough and went very, very close to getting Shane Mosley first ball. And in the end, removing Mosley.
Mhm.
Philip, if I wanted to say this in discussion with Wayne, I think the day that the test match was starting, and I was looking forward to seeing maturity from Kemar Roach and Shannon Gabriel in this test match. Having toured Bangladesh the last time we were there, I thought that they would have learned and be preparing for the conditions in Bangladesh. And Kemar, in his on the first day, he was aiming for a certain line and missing it and went a bit too full. He eventually got the wicket of Tamim, and as Wayne said, he only bowled 4 overs on day 2. So it leads me to wonder, as the most experienced bowler really, that it must be an injury, because I would hate to believe that the most experienced bowler in your lineup can't bowl the ball. Shannon Gabriel, however, I thought that he just didn't get his line of length right he bowled a couple good sharp attacking balls, but generally he was really off the ball for me.
Not only Shannon Gabriel, I actually was more than a little disappointed with Cornwall as well. I know, now hear me out. Cornwall bowler. I don't think that you can dispute that unless you brought something against Cornwall, as many people do because of the size, and there's a name for that. But there are too many balls down leg side that allow the batsman to relieve the pressure that he had earlier created. So that's something that he would have to work on. He is not the only one guilty of it. You said Shannon Gabriel did the same thing, Roach to some extent. But that's something that Cornwall would need to work on. Didn't see it quite as much with Warrington during that lengthy spell in the morning. He was on target more often than I thought, and when he did straight, it was more offside. But Cornwall has this tendency to go into the batsman's legs, and on virtually every occasion he did it. It allowed the batsman to work the ball away, so that the batsman then didn't have to worry about the ball that he bowled on target. He simply just play them and wait for the ball that's giving him some free run. So, and this is one of the reasons when, and Ayana, why I said in the previous program, that these spinners have got to play and play often, because if you're gonna, that's not gonna solve itself playing at a lower level. Because at a lower level, that same ball that the test player works away and picks up 2 runs, at a lower level, there's a good chance that ball is gonna end up in the wicket's hand, and that's a wicket. You've got to work a lot harder to the wickets at the highest level, and therefore you're forced to up your game. And not meaning to repeat what we said yesterday, but here's just further evidence of the importance of developing our spinners by having them play and play and play, regardless of the conditions.
Those spinners bowled a combined 90 overs between them. And it was quite obvious to me in the second half of that second session that they both began to show signs of flagging, of the wear and tear that would have entailed on their respective bodies. Again, as I talked about running out of ideas, I saw when the guy Naeem joined Mahdi Hassan after he got himself in, he was very defensive. He was just prepared to block and stick around. And then he decided that he was going to try to score. And he had this tendency of getting offside of Cornwall, who was bowling to a specifically set leg side field and bowling a leg stump line. And as you mentioned, the balls being played behind square and into the leg side, where it just became just quite easy to score. And I thought that at that point, maybe some different tactic might have been used. Either you ask Cornwall to come over the wicket and bowl more of an off-stump line, or just outside the off-stump line and set a field, put in your backward point, put in your cover, ask the batsman then to push the play against the spin by hitting the ball into the offside. Or we could have had a situation where Cornwall could have gone around the wicket, changed the angle somewhat, bring leg before wicket into play, challenge that leg stump that Naeem was leaving exposed behind him. Those kind of things, those kind of tactical um, decisions were not in place. Like I said, we seemingly ran out of ideas with the bowlers tiring, Roach not coming back because it may have been perceived that there was nothing there for him. You did not turn to Kalmirs, who was your designated fit bowler. And then, as I said, having run out of ideas, you threw the ball to Nkrumah Bonner. And he proved more effective than any of us, except Hartley Reid yesterday, thought that he might be.
Well, what's done is done, we can say. And it's a question now, West Indies is not out of the match as such. Difficult maybe to win it from here. Not impossible, it's cricket we're talking about. But I think the important thing for West Indies now is to establish a strong return. Guys, how can West Indies go about attempting to do that on day 3?
Well, if I just maybe go back slightly, I would like to spare a word for the youngster, though, Mahidi Hassan Miraz. I thought that we should mention him. Here's a young man, a product of that 2016 World Cup, Youth World Cup that we all know so well. That was played in Bangladesh. I don't know if we recall, he was actually the player of the tournament, more for his batting, I must tell you. But since coming into the Bangladeshi lineup, his bowling has come on leaps and bounds. He has always been known that he had that potential as a batsman, and I thought that he batted sensibly. You know, he utilized what he had in front of him. You could see that his game was somewhat organized. He knew exactly where he wanted to score his runs. A lot of his runs came behind the back, both on the offside and on the leg side. He showed some fine touches. I mean, there were a couple of Carl Hooper like sachets down the pitch, inside out, and hitting the ball up through extra cover. You know, so let's pay some tribute to him. He batted well, and it is interesting to see that there's a young man coming onto the world stage. One that we're going to see again quite a lot of. West Indies, well, it is all about batting and batting and batting, and it's going to be spin and more spin. Fizz is going to bowl his little short spells, 4, 5, 6 over spells, but we can be assured that it is going to be Shakib Al Hassan, Naeem Hassan, Masedi Hassan Miraz, and the Taizul Islam in your face. Hopefully that when we speak again after the third day, West Indies will still be batting their first innings.
I was just about to say that if West Indies want to remain in contention in the game, that we need to be batting at the end of day 3. So far, Craig Brathwaite has been positive. He has also brought out some swagger with his sunglasses, but it's nice to see. It's nice to see Craig in that groove. He's not on 49. I don't want to blame him or anything, but I would really like to see Craig to get a big score. And Nkrumah Bonner has been there with him, and he has negotiated well. And I hope that they can put on a big partnership, and hopefully West Indies will still be batting at the end of the
well, Ayana, you know, with all the best intentions, West Indies might very well. It is known that West Indies might be batting at the end of today's play. It may not necessarily be at the first innings.
That's a low blow in there. Everyone's wondering about it.
Well, I lose some points for that. I lose some points with the referee for that.
I can't better that.
I think you'll be disqualified for that.
And I would hope that it doesn't come to that. Yes, I just want to comment on Craig. Craig looking very proactive. I mean, this is a refreshing looking Craig Brathwaite that we saw. We saw Craig Brathwaite getting down the pitch and lifting spin bowlers back overhead. You know, we saw Craig Brathwaite looking to score, looking to take the fight back to the bowlers rather than just looking to defend his wicket and to survive. But I guess sometimes that is what leadership does to you, and we would hope that the other batsmen can be inspired by his approach. And we can really see a decent and proper batting display put on by the West Indies on the third day.
Well, this, as we know, is a new side in the sense that it's a replacement for the players who were more likely to be selected had they made themselves available. So how important then, how significant is the batting order going to be in the scheme of things here?
Well, I think it is fairly obvious that Jermaine Blackwood would be the next batsman, and he is another stroke maker by nature. He's one who would want to take the attack to the borders. It's going to be interesting to see how he handles the spin bowling. We know he is one of those players who's prepared to take on the pacers. He's going to hook, he's going to look to hit them down the ground, and it will be. I look forward to see his approach and his efficiency against this plethora of spin that he's going to face. Well, we look forward to it. I guess actually we hope that he doesn't even have to bat. But
you've gone from one extreme. You've gone from one extreme to the next.
But if he does, he is. So he's obviously the next player in, as far as I'm concerned. Josh De Silva, lots and lots of promise. Won quite a few friends and has shown that he has the ability and the temperament to stick around and bat long innings. So we're hoping for the best from these guys. After that, well, Kyle Mears, it is, like you said, is a toss-up as to who comes at 6 and 7 between Mears and De Silva. Personally, at this stage, I would prefer to put De Silva in at number 6, but that is neither here nor there. Kyle Mears on debut, he is going to be another one who is going to be tested by the amount of spin. I'm not so sure if these guys would have ever been, well, Kyle Mears and Josh De Silva in particular, exposed to a quality of spin bowling in the amounts that they're going to be receiving in this match. So they are going to be tested.
Ayana, any closing thoughts?
I was just going to say that I think it's ironic that Craig is captain and Blackwood is vice captain, because they are carrying this batting lineup on their shoulders as the most experienced batsmen. And I look forward to seeing how they work in partnerships. As Wayne said, hopefully, I really wish Blackwood didn't have to bat. But I'm looking forward to seeing Josh De Silva, especially coming out of Trinidad. I would like to see how he handles his spin. And it might be a new test for Kyle Mears, but I think that he can just believe in his ability and stick to the basics.
Okay, so day 2, 430 Bangladesh, West Indies 75 for 2. We await the events of day 3 as West Indians optimistic of a strong response, as cricket lovers hopeful of a strong response and a good contest. Of course, Bangladesh and their supporters will be hoping for just the opposite on both counts. You've been watching Anything Cricket, Test Match Watch, a review of day 2 of the first test between Bangladesh and the West Indies. Join us again tomorrow for a review of day 3.